technical fields. Government mulls reducing 14-day quarantine period. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. You're watching Updates at Noon. I'm Jessica Lee. The younger generation needs to be encouraged to venture into technical fields, especially engineering, which is often associated with the term dirty, difficult and dangerous, or the 3Ds, as these fields have brighter job market potential with higher returns. Now, Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said graduates of fields that often raise negative perceptions, whether directly or otherwise, are the ones expected to be much sought after in future job markets.
Trend masa depan menunjukkan bahawa bidang yang berkait dengan teknologi akan menjadi profesion berpermintaan tinggi. Penggunaan teknologi terkini pula akan mengubah imej 3D ini kepada imej berprestij kerana profesion teknikal menuntut kesarjanaan ilmu dan kepakaran yang mendalam.
In view of this, Tan Sri Muhyiddin said the government will strive to strengthen the quality of science, technology, engineering and mathematics, or STEM, and TVET graduates in its efforts to develop the technical profession. The Prime Minister said this in a special message in conjunction with the National Technical Profession Day, or HPTN 2020, which was broadcast via a video recording through Radio Television Malaysia's Selamat Pagi Malaysia program today. HPTN is celebrated on the first Saturday of every December as a sign of the country's highest appreciation and recognition for technical professions. The Health Ministry is mulling over the possibility of shortening the mandatory 14-day quarantine for foreigners entering the country. Now, according to its Director General, Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah, the ministry would have to review the data and examine the possible risks associated before making any decisions.
Some countries quarantine for 7 days or even 10 days. So, but we need to be substantiated with data. So we are reviewing the data. Certainly, when we look into the data team, from our data, so we swab them or we test them day one, as well as day 13, or if they have symptoms during the quarantine. So it will be taken into consideration to repeat the swab. So far, I think it has worked well, but we are looking into the current data, whether can we actually shorten the period of quarantine, say for example from 14 days to 12 days or even to 10 days, and what is the risk? Certainly when we shorten the quarantine, for example 10 days, the risk is probably about 5%, so we need to manage the risk.
Malaysia is currently imposing strict rules on all travellers entering the country in order to prevent the spread of COVID-19. They are required to undergo a swab test apart from the mandatory 14-day quarantine upon their arrival. Yesterday, the Health Ministry reported a total of 1,141 new cases, 8 clusters and no new fatalities. As such, Malaysia's COVID-19 tally is now at 70,236, while the death toll remained at 376. Malaysian Islamic Development Department, or JAKIM, together with other bodies and ministries, will further enhance the continuous monitoring and inspections on the frozen meat supply being sold in the markets nationwide. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Datuk Sri Dr. Zulkifli Muhammad Al-Bakri, said this includes forming stronger collaboration with their respective state governments to ensure that the halal issue is clear. Datuk Sri Dr. Zulkifli said the government will also intensify its efforts in providing reminders and warnings in order to prevent unwanted events from happening in the future.
InsyaAllah kita akan buat pantau dengan cara kita kerjasama dengan badan-badan dan juga kementerian yang terbabit. Di samping itu kita akan gerakkan dengan hubungan dengan kerajaan negeri masing-masing untuk melihat dengan lebih dekat lagi dan untuk memastikan supaya halal itu jelas dan benar-benar diperakui dan tidak diragui lagi, insyaAllah.
Previously, the Malaysian Quarantine and Inspection Services, or MAKIS, in a raid discovered a meat cartel with a warehouse in Senai found to be smuggling frozen meat from China, Ukraine, Brazil and Argentina before repackaging them with the halal logo and selling it to markets throughout Malaysia. Frontline media members, including related broadcasting staff and production crew, are eligible to apply for Food Bank Yapim 3.0 assistance, which is organised by the Malaysian Islamic Economic Development Foundation, or Yapim. Selangor Yapim State Manager Muhammad Fazli Suhailin said the initiative acts as an alternative to help ease the burden of media members who are affected by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Untuk peruntukan Food Bank Yapim untuk penyiaran, yang saya kata tadi, itu dah data-data yang kita akan dapat atau permintaan daripada masyarakat, kita akan ambil kira. InsyaAllah kalau keperluan yang ada, Food Bank Yapim 3.0, insyaAllah kita akan bantu.
He said under this program, basic food items will be distributed to the B40 category, which will subsequently help the entrepreneurs that sell these halal products to Yapim. Now we move on with the current flood situation in the country. A total of 8 temporary relief centres, or PPS, are now in operation in 2 districts in Pahang, housing 150 people from 50 families. Rawop is the most affected area in the state, involving 145 residents from 49 families, which were placed at 7 PPS. The 7 PPS are SK Ulu Sungai, Masjid Kampung Kuala Semantan, Dewan Serbaguna Kampung Pia, Masjid Kuala Temau, Balaraya Kampung Sengkela, SK Tersang, as well as Balai UMNO Kampung Batu Talam. In Pekan, only 1 PPS is open, namely Sekolah Kebangsaan Sri Terentang, housing 5 people. Meanwhile, in Terengganu, a total of 30 PPS are still in operation in 6 districts to accommodate 967 residents. Besut reported the highest number of evacuees, while 278 residents at 7 PPS, while Setiu had 209 evacuees at 6 PPS. Now, this followed by Marang, which opened 5 centres to place 176 people, and Kuala Nerus, which reported 134 evacuees. Kuala Terengganu, also affected with 2 PPS, are in operation, while Dun opened 5 relief centres so far. Now, over in Kelantan, the number of people affected by floods as at 7 a.m. this morning remained at 369, and they had been placed at 12 PPS in 4 districts. Pasir Puteh revealed the highest number of evacuees in the state, with 219 people being accommodated at 6 PPS. However, the sunny weather yesterday had caused the floods in some areas in the state to recede. Meanwhile, Lebuhraya Pantai Timur 2 Sdn Bhd urged members of the public to use the LPT2 highway if other routes are closed due to the floods. LPT2 business manager Rosie Ibrahim, in a statement, said road users in the East Coast area are advised to travel using the highway as an alternative to prevent any traffic congestion. According to the statement, LPT2 provides comfortable rest areas, apart from having some 60 members of LPT2 Ronda ready to be deployed in case of emergencies. Now, the Finance Ministry clarified that the revision of Malaysia's sovereign rating by Fitch Ratings from A- to BBB+ does not reflect the country's current economic situation. Its Minister Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz said Malaysia has already started to see the green shoots of economic recovery as a result of the various stimulus packages implemented by the government since March 2020. The minister in a statement explained that the rating outcome was due to the negative impact of COVID-19 on the country's fiscal position and the ongoing domestic political situation. He He said Fitch did not take into account the government's crisis response efforts and Malaysia's strong economic fundamentals. Explaining further, he said the government has responded efficiently and consistently in addressing the pandemic crisis with 4 stimulus packages worth 3.5 billion ringgit, or about 20% of gross domestic product or GDP, to help the people and businesses. Furthermore, Budget 2021 is also expected to contribute to economic recovery, with the GDP expecting to grow between 6.5% to 7.5% next year. The My 30 special campaign by the Malaysia Tourism Promotion Board, or Tourism Malaysia, in association with Prasana Malaysia Berhad, that was scheduled to begin on the 7th of December, has been postponed. Now, according to Tourism Malaysia, the decision to postpone the campaign was made after taking into consideration the current COVID-19 situation in the Klang Valley. In a release statement, Tourism Malaysia said the initiative was meant to encourage domestic tourism through public transport utilising Rapid KL's network of trains and buses under the Economic Stimulus Package 1.0. It said all members of the public can expect exciting offers and further news about the My 30 special campaign soon. Previously, the government announced that My 30 initiative will offer unlimited travels via the Light Rail Transit (LRT), Mass Rapid Transit (MRT), KL Monorail and Rapid Bus services in the Klang Valley at 30 ringgit per month. Finance Minister Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz, during the tabling of Budget 2021 on the 6th of November, said that the government will continue the campaign and expand it to Pulau Pinang and Kuantan with a total allocation of 300 million ringgit. Bangladesh shifts Rohingya to remote island despite outcry. That and more coming up in our foreign segment.
We've never been prouder to stand with this fearless nation that strives to stay ahead no matter what the odds. A nation whose people keep finding the courage to open new doors. With our tools, with our determination, with each other. Because this is how we win. Together, we will always be ahead.
Now, a bus in Brazil plunged off a viaduct from a height of 20 meters on Friday after the brakes apparently failed, crashing onto rail tracks below and killing at least 16 people. Officials said another 27 people were hurt in the accident near the town of Joao Monlevade in the southeastern state of Minas Gerais. Photos released by firefighters showed the crushed ruins of the bus at the foot of the viaduct. The driver lost control of it after the brakes allegedly failed. The fire department said 6 people managed to scramble out of the bus before it fell, including the driver. On the 25th of November, a total of 41 people died when a truck and a bus crashed into each other near the city of Taguai in Sao Paulo state. An average of 30,000 people die yearly in road accidents in Brazil between 2015 and 2019. Bangladesh transported more than 1,600 Rohingya refugees to a low-lying island yesterday in the first phase of a controversial planned relocation of 100,000 people. Now, almost 1 million Rohingya, most of whom fled a military offensive in neighbouring Myanmar 3 years ago, live in squalid camps in southeastern Bangladesh. Dhaka wants to move 100,000 of the refugees to Bhasan Char, a silt island that critics say is prone to flooding and in the path of cyclones that frequently wreak havoc in the region. Rights groups have alleged that many of those sent in the first wave yesterday were coerced into going with threats or sweeteners. Bangladesh has spent some $400 million from its own coffers building shelters and 9-foot flood embankment around the facilities. The government said the facilities are strong, built with concrete foundation which can withstand natural disasters such as cyclones and tidal waves. The Foreign Ministry said the island has all modern amenities, year-round fresh water, beautiful lake and prosper infrastructure and enhanced facilities. The United Nations office in Bangladesh said it had been prevented from independently assessing the safety, feasibility and sustainability of the island as a place to live. Chile's Navy has been surveilling the presence of Chinese fishing boats near its Pacific Ocean amid concerns the foreign fleet might cross into the country's sovereign waters. According to reports, hundreds of fishing boats have been spotted in international waters close to Chile's Arica Parinacota region. Many of them hail from China. Now, late last month, 2 Chinese fishermen reportedly crossed the Straits of Magellan in Chile's south, one of the most important natural passages between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Chile's domestic fishing industry is one of the country's biggest contributors to the economy, with one of the largest commercial catches in the world. Now, at first sight, they look like regular containers, but the rectangular boxes made by German company Vacutech will in fact play a key role in keeping life-saving COVID-19 vaccines ultra cool as they are shipped across the world. There will be an enormous logistical challenge to transport billions of doses at the right temperature across the globe, maintaining the so-called cold chain from a vaccine manufacturer to a patient's arm. Pfizer-BioNTech's vaccine, for instance, must be stored at a frigid minus 70 degrees Celsius. The VAQ-Tech containers will serve this purpose of keeping the vaccines cool enough, the company's founder and chief executive Joachim Kuhn told AFP, describing them as the big thermos flasks. In the company's factory in the Bavarian city of Würzburg, workers were assembling panels with glue or making vacuum-packed linings. Using a silica particle technology, the containers can maintain temperatures ranging from 1 similar to a fridge to polar chills for up to 10 days. Now, VAQ-Tech said it has an agreement to supply the super coolers with the leading international pharmaceutical manufacturer of a COVID-19 vaccine, but did not name the client due to confidentiality agreements. Because of the high demand for international shipments loaded with vaccine doses, VAQ-Tech will build more than 10,000 containers next year. The company will also plan to manufacture more than 100,000 picnic-sized boxes compared with 25,000 currently in stock. Japan to host 2021 FIFA Club World Cup. Stay with us. Now, the Youth and Sports Ministry, or KBS, is committed to ensuring that local and international sports championships will be organised next year through the introduction of sports bubbles. Now, Minister Datuk Sri Rizal Merican Naina Merican said that the ministry was still studying a number of sports bubble models currently used to organise championships overseas, including football tournaments, before implementing a suitable model in the country.
Antara konsep atau model yang kita tengah
Banyak. Jadi saya tak mau kata too premature for me to be saying this. Nanti lagi akan ada jawapan balas. Biarlah kita buat kajian secara menyeluruh. Dan pada waktu ini pun semua pemegang taruh telah dipanggil. MFL telah dipanggil. Mereka yang juga terlibat dalam sektor tourism juga dipanggil. Sebab ada kejohanan-kejohanan sukan yang membabitkan kata penyertaan daripada luar negara.
The minister had recently announced that KBS was working on a sports bubble model that would be presented to the National Security Council (MKN) to ensure that sports activities and competitions could be held in the country. Earlier, Datuk Sri Rizal Merakan witnessed a new record for football juggling set by Daniel Akasha Ramatulal, a trainee of Academy Tunas, Hulu, Selangor, at the KBS lobby. The 12-year-old managed to juggle the ball 202 times to earn himself a place in the Malaysian Book of Records. Now, Bournemouth climbed to the top of the English Championship with an impressive 4-0 thrashing of Barnsley at Oakwell on Friday. Now, goals from Philip Billing and Dominic Solanke gave the Cherries a 2-goal cushion at the interval, with Diego Rico and Sam Sturridge also finding the net in the second half. In driving rain, Barnsley posed few problems for Jason Tindall's men and at no point looked likely to launch a comeback. Bournemouth only had to wait until the 12th minute to get their noses in front when Adam Smith and David Brooks combined to set up Billing, who beat Jack Walton with a low drive from 20 yards. Herbie Kane put a free kick over as the hosts tried to reply, but Bournemouth increased their lead in stoppage time at the end of the half. Steve Cook won possession, allowing Sri Lanka to make a driving run into the area before firing low across Walton and into the corner of the net. Rico added a third in the 52nd minute with a superb 30-yard effort. Barnsley head coach Valérien Ismail made a triple substitution shortly before the hour mark, but the newcomers had little time to make an impact before Bournemouth made it 4-0 in the 68th minute. The Cherries' win moved them 2 points clear of second place Norwich ahead of this weekend's remaining fixtures. Japan will host the Club World Cup in its existing format in late 2021, with expanded version of the tournament still on hold after being postponed due to the coronavirus pandemic. Now, it means there will be 2 Club World Cups in the same year, with Qatar hosting the 2020 edition between the 1st and the 11th of February before another 7-team edition goes ahead in Japan in December.
Due to the COVID-19 situation, which has led to the postponement of the revamped, the new Club World Cup, which should have taken place in the summer of 2021 in China, but which we agreed, of course, to postpone in order to make place for the Euro and the Copa America. Well, we have decided to organize a Club World Cup in the current format, again in 2021, in December, and we awarded the hosting rights to Japan, which has a long tradition, as you know, of hosting, of course, Club World Cups.
Japan has hosted the Club World Cup 8 times before, most recently in 2016. It means there will be 1 representative each from Europe, South America, North and Central America, Africa, Asia and Oceania, with the Japanese champions completing the lineup. Bayern Munich will represent Europe at the February competition in Qatar, where the Germans will be looking to succeed Liverpool, winners of the last Club World Cup in Doha a year ago. Meanwhile, professional women footballers are to be guaranteed maternity leave under new rules approved by FIFA. Under the new rules approved by the decision-making FIFA Council on Friday, a player will be given 14 weeks maternity leave and her club will be obliged to reintegrate her afterwards and provide adequate medical support.
And we want them, of course, to be healthy, to be safe, and to be happy. And when it comes to female players, this means that we should bring also more stability to their careers. So that, for example, if they need to take maternity leave, then they do not have to worry about their careers when they are ready to play again. We have introduced rules minimum standards at worldwide level that guarantee this. And if we are serious about boosting the women's game, and we are serious about that, then we need to look at all these aspects.
Infantino also voiced support for an inter-sport agency to tackle sexual abuse in sport, saying it would need the backing of governments because sports federations are limited in their powers to investigate. Formula One champion Lewis Hamilton's late stand-in, George Russell, ended his first day atop the timesheets for the fastest time for Mercedes in Friday's practice for the Sakir Grand Prix. The 22-year-old put into Hamilton's seat after his fellow Briton tested positive for COVID-19. Could not have asked for a better start to his debut with the world champions after lapping fastest in both of the day's 2 sessions. Russell headed Red Bull's Max Verstappen in both. He also finished ahead of teammate Valtteri Bottas, who was nursing damage to his Mercedes in the opening 90 minutes and had a lap time which would have been faster than Russell's best, deleted for exceeding track limits in the second session. The Finn ended the 2 sessions 4th and 11th respectively. Now, this weekend is being seen as something of a shootout between Russell and Bottas for a 2022 seat at Mercedes. The world champions have denied that is the case. But Russell, who is a Mercedes-backed driver and has been placed at engine customer Williams to learn the ropes, has done his chances of one day driving for the German Mark's Works team no harm with his performance so far. Verstappen's teammate Alexander Albon set the 3rd fastest time of the day, which again came in the opening 90 minutes. But the British-born Pi driver, who is driving for his seat, slipped to 5th in the second session. Formula One this weekend is racing around the shorter outer layout of the Bahrain International Circuit that hosted last Sunday's race. Friday's practice session also featured 2 rookies who are making their Formula One debuts. Pietro Fittipaldi is standing in for the injured Romain Grosjean at Haas, while Formula 2 racer Jack Aitken is replacing Russell at Williams. They finished at the bottom of the timesheets with only Charles Leclerc, who suffered a drive shaft failure on his Ferrari and did not set a time, behind them in the second session. That's it from us this afternoon. In our top story, jobs of the future are in technical fields. Now tune in to News at 10 this evening, Salam Berita RTM, only on My Freeviews channel 123. You can also watch it from RTM's MyClick mobile application. I'm Jessica Lee. Thank you for watching.